Hey guys, so it's bringing you another video, and welcome back to more Worlds content. And this is Game 5, T1 versus DK. I've been kind of paying attention to the series a little bit so far, but it's Game 5, so it's the deciding match, and I thought maybe now is a good time to jump in and do a live commentary. So again, if you look down here, it says live. I'm watching it as it comes out. I do not know the result. Obviously, I'm not a fortune teller. But yeah, some of the kind of big picks that I've seen throughout this series so far, LeBlanc, Rise, those two champions especially, because, you know, it's Faker versus SHOWMAKER. That kind of rhymes, actually, weirdly. Two of the best League of Legends players in the world historically, and obviously both being mid laners, both against each other. So this should be an exciting match. What I'll do, again, I have to move the camera here or there because, again, things get in the way. Also, apologies for the wet hair, just had a shower, and I've got wet hair, I guess. But anyway, let's see what's happening. So, LeBlanc banned out, as I mentioned, in this series. It's 2-2. LeBlanc has made an impact. Jarvan banned, Lee Sin banned. I'd expect, well, would you put a ban for Rise for Faker? They did, I believe, beat them. I think they just beat them with Faker on Rise, so maybe they're not too scared of it. But that is a Yuumi, so she's being banned. I still can't believe that Yuumi's being banned. It just shows how strong that champion actually is. When pros are banning her, then yeah. Wow, Rise is banned, but T1, SKT1, I don't know if they still go by that anymore, but they banned Rise to not let SHOWMAKER get it, because I do think Faker and SHOWMAKER are quite similar in a lot of ways. Maybe SHOWMAKER in modern day League is a bit more known for his 1v1 prowess, but yeah, historically, obviously, Faker has been the mid laner to be careful of. So Aphelios first locked in, 32% pick rate in Worlds with a 60-something% win rate, so that's not bad in terms of Worlds percentages, and that's Graves. The good thing with Graves, you can technically flex pick that. So you could put him top lane, or you could put him in the jungle. Technically, you could also put him in mid. So a flex pick as one of the early picks is quite good. The reason why T1 might not be doing a flex pick is because they might do, potentially, a protect the comp. And it could be protect the Aphelios, and you need that kind of champion, you know, initially to make the comp around. So they wanted to lock that Aphelios in to enable their comp in the first place. Ziggs also locked in. Once again, a flex pick. Can go mid, can go bot. So far, DK is not giving away 100% of where people are going. Obviously, you roughly know where they are, but there we go. Unfortunately, I'm getting internet buffering, so that is the negative of doing it live. I didn't think about this. I normally don't have any internet problems, but recently I have been. So I'll be back in a couple seconds and try to fix it. All right, I'm back. Hopefully, I fixed it. Sorry about that, everybody. I will say what I'll do, because obviously now I'm technically not live. You can see the red isn't. It's only about 10 seconds, but I'll skip to live after champ select. Kennen potentially being locked in for top lane, so Kennen isn't really a flex pick. So it doesn't seem like T1, they don't care about flex picking. They don't care like, oh, we're just giving away where people are playing, where I think DK is being a bit more careful with it. Obviously also Twisted Fate banned out against Faker, which, well, I was going to say, I don't think Faker's known for his Twisted Fate, but any of these mid laners can play any champion, so yeah. Xin Zhao also banned. Picked. Xin very strong on this patch. Remember, it's patch 11.19, so that would mean he is a Gordrinker champion within the Sterix. Very strong when it was on that patch. It has been nerfed since. Rakan potential pick. So Rakan, you normally think it's going to go with Azaya, but it doesn't have to. Rakan is a very strong, engaging support in his own right. You know, he has good protection. He does also have healing, technically, in lane, which a lot of engaging supports do not have. And, you know, it can be protect. It can be engage. Obviously, the big charm into the knock-up is great for a Ziggs to get his combo off. So if it is going to be Ziggs Rakan bot lane, I wouldn't say it's a bad lane. I'm not 100% sure it's going to be Ziggs bot yet. Obviously, we'll see. It still could be Ziggs mid. I'm not 100% if SHOWMAKER plays Ziggs mid, but we'll see, basically. So, whose pick is it right now? It is actually quite hard to tell. I think it's T1's right now. Yeah, it is. So in the middle, I think the arrow down in the middle indicates of whose turn it is and who's lit up in blue, I guess. So they are... Oh, yeah, it was more bans. So they banned Lulu Thresh, which, again, if it's a Protector Aphelios comp, especially Lulu is a good band for that, and to be honest, so is Thresh. And then Kiana Casawin band for T1. So that is a potential Azir being locked in, and I do know, even with my limited pro knowledge, Azir is one of Showmaker's best champions. I do know that, so wouldn't surprise me if it's Azir, but now they're going for Talon, which if they're going for Talon, weirdly, again, it can be a flex pick. I doubt we're going to see Talon mid. I think it would probably be Talon jungle. Remember, this is on patch 11.19, so Talon jungle, Graves top. That's what I'm guessing. And T1 just potentially... They stole the Azir. Wow. And the Zoe. Wait, what? Okay, no, they were hovering Zoe. So they've stolen the Azir, which I actually think DK probably actually wanted, which is quite surprising. I don't know what they're going to pick now in mid. Syndra maybe is my guess. Silas potentially being flexed as well. So that would make this comp... It doesn't make much sense unless they're doing something really weird. Like, okay, Zillion probably, because yeah, Zillion's also been a pick in this, well, one pick, 100% win rate, so it's one game. It was doing so much work in this series that he was saving so many lives. So yeah, T1 have got a pretty nice comp. They have like team fight, they've engage, and they've got, oh, it could be a Zoe pick, right? But they have like the hyper carry of Aphelios that they can fall back onto, that in late game he can just melt people. So can Kennen getting into a team fight. Azir is a hyper carry late game. Xin is just a meatball that's just going to be tanky and heal. And Zillion, he has some CC, but he's mainly there just to press the R button to revive, like the Kennen if he mispositions or something, or the Aphelios. And then obviously DK's comp. So it is Ziggs Rakan bot lane, Zoe mid. So you might be like AD carry, but then again, they've got Graves top, who is an AD carry. What I don't like with DK's comp, it's incredibly squishy. Obviously, Talon is not too squishy, and let's actually click this button, so boom, we'll go back to live. So Talon isn't, you know, he's an assassin that's supposed to be squishy, but on the patch 11.19, he does like the bruiser build, gets away with it. He's actually quite tanky, but he's not a tank. Rakan, again, is kind of tanky, but not exactly like a Leona, for example. So based on comp, I did the same when we did the last live one of these. Obviously, I don't know the result. I would give the advantage to T1. If DWG Kia, I swear it was T1, I don't even know anymore. If they don't snowball, basically. Like, if the Graves comp, etc., if the Ziggs gets tower advantage and kind of snowballs off the gold from that, they might be able to snowball the game into just a victory at 25 minutes, maybe less. If they don't, I don't see how you're beating the late game of T1. So let's move the camera again. So we'll go here and then make smaller. There we go. All right. So again, if you guys are enjoying this content, please do throw a like on the video. It does help out. Let me know what you think of it. And, you know, thanks, by the way, for the nice comments. People going, oh, Huz should do casting. I've thought about it. You know, I have been offered little things in the past that I've never really accepted. So who knows? Maybe. But anyway, starting items. So Doran's Ring for a Kennen may surprise people, but it's the same as Vladimir. If you're not, well, in this specific matchup, if you think of Kennen versus Graves, you have to kind of remember, normally Kennen starts Doran's Blade because he can get auto-attack poke on his opponent as a ranged champion. But you're against a Graves that gets armor stacks in lane to make armor less, well, to make physical damage less useful. So actually having more AP damage is actually probably better specifically against Graves. So already mid lane kicking off, Showmaker versus Faker. I wonder if Showmaker did that on purpose, like as a protege to Faker or something, because I don't know if like memory serves completely correct, but was Showmaker like the backup mid laner for Faker once or something like that, and that's how he got his start? That rings a bell, but I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments like what that history is. T1 doing a bush strat. If they can get some nice little pressure on the Ziggs, it will just make him less comfortable in lane. Obviously, Aphelios, he's weird. He's like a basic champion, but also one of the most complicated champions in League, if that makes sense, because it's all about your weapon combo. So right now, he's got the lifesteal weapon mixed with the sniper, and when you're doing the lifesteal proc, whatever your secondary weapon is, you're getting benefits from whatever your second weapon is. So when it comes to late game, you really want to try and maximize what weapon you're going in, like the pair. You want to try and really set that up and then go, oh, I've got the two weapons that we want. Let's now go in for a fight. Which isn't the easiest thing to do in little skirmishes and stuff to try and constantly get the right combo. So I would potentially expect, and this is a good thing for T1, Ziggs is not known for his lane phase pressure as such. He's not a kill champion in lane phase. Nice pressure by Faker in mid after Zoe had the early pressure level 1. But to give Aphelios arguably a free lane phase is also very scary. You know, I would say there is weirdly a confidence with the Aphelios' starting items that he's gone long 3. Not because, like, Doran's is normally the answer, but because that gives more health. Why did he go long 3? I think he went long 3, 1, because it's actually a quicker build route to getting his first component, the Noon Quiver. And he's not that scared in the early game, but the one thing he potentially will get is poke from a Ziggs. He's a ranged mage, so he can poke you down. He's got an extra 2 health potions to deal with that poke. So I think that's probably on purpose. So Canyon in mid lane, just stopping Faker basing. I think that was not a big deal because both mid laners are taking TP, which does seem to be mainly the meta in the Worlds meta. And, you know, let me know what you think of the Worlds meta as a whole. Nice gank by Xin. Can they get the kill this first blood? Wow. Great. So both top laners flashed, which we didn't see. They must have had a skirmish fight, and yeah, so that was just a really clean kill. Khan up in top lane getting caught out, no vision. Maybe didn't expect to gank. That's the weird thing I will say of top lane. It is the meme island lane for a reason. Most of the time, you don't think you're going to get ganked. So, you know, it's the non-pressure lane. There's no dragon nearby. You don't need to affect top lane really for Rift Herald. So top laners are very often left alone. So when one of them gets ganked, it's like, oh, snap, there's a jungler here. So there's that. So the game itself, very even apart from that first blood, which obviously goes over to the Xin. You know, as crazy, we've mentioned it already, but as crazy as it is, just watch the item builds of the 2 junglers. And even though one is a bruiser, one is an assassin, they're going to have very similar item builds this game, very likely. SHOWMAKER doing a pretty big invade. He might have even stolen something off the jungle camp then. I'm not 100% sure if he did, but I think that's what he was going for. And Faker just staying in mid. So you probably won't see Faker do any crazy plays on Azir. Potentially even before like level 8, level 9. Ideally, he probably would want to wait till level 11, but you know, if something happens, then they have to kind of deal with it. You can't just let DK, as I've mentioned, have the early game, because they do, I'd say, have a snowballing team comp. I just don't think their late game is as strong as T1's. Like, in DK's comp, they don't have that really hyper carry that I think can just like wipe out the enemy team. Like Zoe, yeah, she lands asleep, she can kill one person. She then struggles to really do a lot more in late game, because everybody by then has a bunch of tankiness. They have magic resist to deal with the Zoe. And also T1 have a counter engage to her. And then Graves, he's scary-ish. Talon is scary in his own way, I would say. They are going for another top lane gank. So the one thing I will mention, why would T1 potentially want to make Kennen fed? Well, to be honest, as I mentioned earlier, DK's comp is not that tanky. If Kennen gets really heavy, goes the really heavy AP build, there is a chance that a Kennen by basically himself could wipe out DK. So they might be prioritizing, let's give Kennen a really good lane phase. Which, again, I think he'll have an okay lane phase against Graves anyway. But it's like a way that you can try and help. Well, mid lane is not much going to happen. It's actually quite hard to gank a Zoe. Bot lane, do you really want to do anything risky in bot lane? Arguably not. They are finding the Xin just kind of walking around. You can see the Rakan also is looking. So again, very common, even before 10 minutes is 6 minutes into the game, very common for supports to roam around in pro play. So both of them at the exact same time converging in mid. It's kind of weird, you know, like the League in historically has had timings for things. Like, you know, back in the day, it was like, you know, 15 minutes to do the first dragon before the elemental dragons and 25 minutes to do Baron or whatever. It does seem like from the games, and I would say I've watched limited games of Worlds, but between like the 6 and 7 minute mark, it seems when the supports kind of make their first roam. I have seen a roam support in Worlds that was like 4 minutes, which that was early. But yeah. Worth also noting, which I'll be honest, does surprise me a bit. Zoe's first purchase is Merc Treads. You know, I mentioned earlier that, you know, high damage and the late game damage, and this is why I do think T1 have advantage. They have Kennen that does way higher damage than people probably credit in late game. They have Azir who's a hyper carry AP champion. So she's prioritizing Mercs just to stay alive against those two. But then you have the Aphelios who's a hyper carrying himself. So So for this to be, I would say, DK's game, I'd hope, and this is like the weird contradiction to their own comp, I'd hope they actually start trying to pick up the pace in the next few minutes and maybe try to force a dragon. But then saying that, you've got Ziggs. He's not an early game champ. You know, I would say, and obviously I don't know better than these teams, obviously I'm just randomly commentating, but if they wanted to have the Graves, Talon, Zoe, Rakan, I would have put something else in bot lane than Ziggs. Granted, they might have initially wanted Ziggs mid. As we mentioned, he's a flex pick, and because Azir was locked in, they don't probably want Ziggs against Azir. It's going to give Azir pretty much a free lane phase, which so far he has had also against a Zoe. Big play potentially happening now, though. So as I mentioned, T1 got to be careful. They're the ones that have started this, though. TP from Ziggs, that's the bot laner. So this is potentially a 5v5, actually. A 8-minute 5v5, which is smite it. Xin smites it. Rift Herald killed. Talon in the pit has jumped over, but then jumps out. And that will probably be that. Big damage on the Xin, but that is going to be that for now. So a 5v5 non-team fight just happened over the first Rift Herald. Which, again, first Rift Herald, it's not worth blowing a game over. You know, in most of the time you use a Rift Herald, you might get 2-3 plates, which isn't a lot to risk a game over. And DK, I guess, with their positioning, didn't feel comfortable. This is a problem for Kennen, though. Has no vision top lane. The big Rift Herald play just happened. Does flash early, gets the ultimate, gets exhausted, goes down. So that was a bit bad. Like, I potentially would have even been like, we've just done a Rift Herald, all 5 people there. I'm top lane with no vision. Well, he has a little bit of vision, but just not in the tri-bush over on the enemy side. He was really pushed into the enemy tower. He probably shouldn't have done that, obviously. But yeah, so far, well, you know, the gold lead is saying DK is winning, but they really, I'd say, have to pick up the pace to win this game. And that's just my opinion. Again, we might get to late game, and I could be proven completely wrong, which I will be surprised about, to be honest, but we will see. Any other weird things going on? Obviously, the Merc Treads for Zoe I did find a little bit weird. Kennen, obviously he's going to build the standard, probably Rocket Belt. You can go Night Harvester technically on Kennen, but Rocket Belt helps with your positioning just to make sure you're in range with your ulti, because sometimes you can just be out of range. So again, another potential fight happening. And weirdly, this is not for a dragon, this is for a Scuttle Crab, which is kind of weird. So Felios having a nice time in bot lane. Ziggs will catch up a bunch of farm, but gets a solo plate, I think the Felios just got there, which is always nice. And here is the Rift Herald play. If they can kill that next plate, okay, Ziggs obviously wave clear is very good, but if they could kill that next plate before the Rift Herald charge, let's see if it's going to happen, that would be good, because it would enable the, well, even more potential plates than just maybe 2, but they're not going to do it. It's very close. Bam. They hopefully will get the final one. Are they gonna... Ooh, no, it's still up. You can see the line. They didn't get it. They are wanting that one auto attack, and that is why I did say if they got obviously the plate before the Rift Herald charge, they would have got that one as well, which they didn't. 4 people bot lane. They have to run. Flash and Felios just get out of there. Oh, he just uses the Zillion speed up. Doesn't even have to use flash. Doesn't have to use heal. Does get slept. Does have the Rakan. Gets Zillion ulted. He is in trouble. Exhaust going on the Talon, but then the Ziggs W, lovely W actually, and that will secure the kill for DK. So obviously it's been the meta of Season 11, and that will probably enable Dragon as well. It's been the meta of Season 11, you know, in solo queue, so obviously it is true with Worlds as well. It's a roaming meta. Like, that's what most of the season has been. So, yeah, there's 5v5 already at Rift Herald around 10 minutes or before 10 minutes. There's supports in mid at 6 minutes. There's 4 bot lane at 11 minutes. That is the meta. Riot have really, really tried to make roaming a thing in League. Again, with obviously my meeting, the code word really in that meeting. Azir does a nice ulti, flashes though. He's going to do some damage to the Rakan, forces his flash, which I don't honestly think the Rakan needed a flash. But the key word, and you know, to that whole meeting was exciting. So obviously Riot deems roaming exciting. Otherwise they wouldn't have enabled it as much. And, you know, and by the way, people are going, why has Season 11... Oh, talent! Flashes straight away. Why does this season enable roaming so much? Basically, items are so strong. You know, even your first item, you are actually surprisingly strong after just finishing your first item, your mythic, or even some champions, their first legendary, that it's kind of weird that you're so strong you can just roam and not care about more gold from minions after you get your first item. So that's what's enabled a lot of the roaming culture this season, I would say. A little bit sloppy play, obviously, going back in and getting hit by the Zoe E. Didn't need to do that. Just keep walking away. You see 4 of them. Why risk it? Really nice W by the Ziggs there. Again, maybe Aphelios, when he woke up, he could have flashed instantly and got, you know, away from that. Little bit cocky play, I'd say, by the Graves. He could be in trouble here. And, you know, he's probably going to end up flashing. Will he get knocked up? Yes, he does. And he's going to go down. Why is he farming behind the tower again? This is his knockout game of Worlds. This is, what is this again? Semi-finals day 1. So there's another semi-final, I guess, tomorrow. Maybe I'll also record one of those matches. Obviously, this one I wasn't planning to record, but the fact that it went to game 5, I was like, yeah, let's record it. Because obviously, if I'm not mistaken, obviously SK T1, they are a 2-time world champion, maybe, in the past years. And then DWG Kia, or DK, I think they won Worlds last year. So these are 2 of the heavy hitters that, honestly, I imagine a lot of people potentially would have wanted to see in the final. What I'm also going to do is just do a little Google. Worlds LOL winners. So who has won Worlds in the past? So yeah, Damwon Gaming is currently the champion, which I believe this is what this team is. And then before that, who won it before that? So, oh yeah, Fun plus Phoenix won the year before that, I think. So, but yeah, these are 2 of the heavy hitters, obviously, in the tournament. And it is annoying, I guess, to some people that they're meeting in the semi-final, but it is what it is. Also, apologies, everybody. I've just got to deal with something very quick, just looking at my phone. So I'm going to pause it. I'm still going to kind of see it live, but I've just got to deal with that, and then we'll continue. All right, sorry about that. I'm just going to deal with some stuff in the background at the moment, but we're back. Obviously, unfortunately for the rest of the game, I guess I'm not going to be live, but we're a minute or so behind the actual official, which obviously I'm not going to know the result for the end. But anyway, continuing on, item-wise is worth knowing the Talon has not gone Gordrinker first, which obviously utility-wise, the Yumus gives Talon a lot more utility and movement speed, so that's probably why he's gone that route. Meanwhile, Kennen finds a Talon. Need gets the kill on him, doesn't go for the all-in, probably due to the Ziggs being nearby. But that is also a Rift Herald number 2 conceded by DK, as, yeah, I guess T1 going a little bit more the objective route, apart from obviously the Dragon that first went for DK because of the unfortunate Aphelios incident in bot lane. But the mythic item purchases are starting to happen. It is worth also noting the Azir Faker also buying Merc Treads. I'm less kind of surprised that Faker's got them because Zoe Bubble is obviously insanely scary. Zoe can one-shot you from a whole screen away. So that doesn't surprise me that Faker has bought Mercs. Again, it does kind of surprise me Zoe has, but, you know, this is Worlds, as I've always mentioned. It's really passive play in Worlds, for the most part. The later you get into the stages, the more passive it gets, because that's when it's like, oh, if we get knocked out now, we lose, I don't know, like 2 million quid or something like that, or $2 million. Like, they're going to play very careful for that. So when millions of dollars are on the line, I think all of us would probably play a little bit careful. Which, to be honest, maybe, like, if one team comes to Worlds and goes, we're just going to play dumb aggressive, maybe it would, like, mix it up and absolutely just wreck everybody, because nobody would be expecting early aggression. But obviously at this level, it can be countered quite easily. That's the point. These are the best players in the world, and a little slip up or going too aggressive and then overextending, boom, you're dead. So that is probably why also the more passive play is happening. So what is happening is Dragon has just spawned. Infernal, which, you know, of the current dragons that we have in the game, meanwhile Rift Herald being spawned, does get slept. Kennen, oh, so Talon ult used, but honestly, worst situation, Kennen ult used. Kennen, I'd say, is a much bigger ult for big team fights a Dragon than a Talon ult is. And yeah, this is unfortunate for T1. They just don't have the positioning, and already the Dragon is dead. So, as I mentioned, I do think T1's comp potentially scales better, but one thing that I've always said that gives your team scaling that the enemy team cannot get is Dragons. So suddenly, you know, they've got the Wind Dragon. They now have Infernal, which is 4% AD and AP that the enemy team just doesn't get. And obviously what that is literally scaling. 4% ability power, 4% AD. That is scaling. A lot of scaling. 4%, you might not think it's a lot, but that's 4% the enemy team can't have. And this map is a mountain map. So that, I will say, is surprisingly huge for DK. So as I mentioned, they're pretty squishy. So if they could get mountain dragons, just even the dragon buff that makes you tankier, and then the soul that gives you the shield, that potentially would put DK's comp in the position that they might be okay in late game. Looking for the blue buff steal, but then they randomly fall into a Graves. Does steal it, does the Zin, so well played to him. But a 2-level advantage right now for the jungle. Oh no, never mind. I've just got baited. It's Graves top, it's Talon jungle. Sorry, they're both level 10. I still completely am not used to seeing Talon in the jungle. I don't think of Talon as a jungler when I look at Talon, but lo and behold, he is now one. So never mind. So invading happening. Arguably a little bit more for DK. So, like, they managed to steal the blue, did T1, but then Talon, I think, just stole most of the whole blue side jungle, maybe apart from the buff. But let's see what's going to happen now. So they might be looking for a dive on the Graves, or they're just kind of positioning enough that you can't stay here. That cannon just missed cannon, by the way. So see, it happens in Worlds. It happens in a semi-final in Worlds. People miss cannon. But yeah, it positioned enough that the Graves is going to back away from the tower, which is sometimes all you want. Not every gank is a kill. Talon might be looking for a... If that bubble hit, which it would be quite surprising if it did. Zig's going for a ult on 3 minions, which... I'm not sure a 3 minion ult is worth it. Obviously, they're very much just wanting to protect that tower. The moment you open mid lane tower, it really hurts your territory as whichever team has lost that tower first. It gives you less vision. Obviously, you'll probably just put a ward there, but it hurts a lot. You've got to do extra things if you miss that tower. But yeah, a lot of mythics being complete. Everybody doing what I would say is the standard thing. The nice thing that DK have obviously having 2 mages. They have one that's going the more burst route with Ludens, and they've got one that's doing the more like sustain damage and the burn damage with Ziggs doing Leandries. So that is nice to have that like kind of difference there. Obviously T1 doesn't exactly have that, but to be honest, they have so much damage in their comp with a Kennen, Zin, and Aphelios. I don't think it really matters that they don't have that kind of alternate. And the invading a little bit starts to happen just to get vision down. Again, vision is knowledge, and that's how you win League of Legends games. You know where the enemy team is. You know how to attack them, where they're coming from. That is a lot of the game. So it's really good that T1 is starting to get that kind of vision deeper into the enemy territory. Faker, as you can see in top lane, slowly starting to become the actual monster that is an Azir. And obviously, I mentioned earlier, passive play is what we're watching here. It's 20 minutes into the game, and there's only 4 kills in the whole game. It's even. Very passive. Does kill the mid lane tower, though, finally, for T1. That's really good. Gold-wise, does still give DK the lead, and they have, obviously, the first 2 dragons. But the gold should probably even up here any second because of the tower kill about to happen in top lane. And there you go. So, suddenly that puts T1 200 gold ahead, or 100 gold ahead. It's very close. Like that's basically the way to say it. It's very close. Will the dragons of that is currently in the game make a big impact? I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say these 2 dragons are going to make or break the game. I'd say which team is going to get the soul might break the game. And, you know, if DK get 1 more dragon, it puts so much pressure on T1 to never lose another dragon until they kill 4. It's very hard when one team has got 3, you have 0. Well, suddenly you need the next 4 dragons in a row to stop the enemy team getting the soul. It's unlikely. They, you know, just sneaking one. If you're even like, if T1 go do Baron, as DK, you'd probably go, at that point, let's just sacrifice the Baron, get the dragon instead, and you can probably get away with it. Oh, nice, really good reaction time to save the Zin. Not a lovely W by Ziggs again, and Zin is not dead. Very tanky as a bruiser with the, I'm guessing he has done the Gore Drinker thingy build. Oh, who is a big play? Here we go. Faker TPs. The Kennen TP below. They're going to go for a sandwich of DK. This is potentially a huge play, but Kennen meets a Talon and a Zoe. Has to back off. Wow, nothing happened. No one died in that whole play. Big 2 TPs for T1. Aggressive tower by Faker, so the enemy team cannot escape that way. which is always nice. And like they might be looking for a bit of poke. So Aphelios, he's going to start feeling a lot more confident. He's very scary. You know, even though we're only at 22 minutes, a lot of people are like, this isn't late game. In pro play, without another dragon being taken by DK, oh my god, 3 dragons, 0 is going to happen. That's mad. Holy moly, okay. So that is what DK's game plan might be, is just get the dragons, get the soul, and that gives them innate, like, scaling. They're waiting in the bush. They're going for engage. They don't get the Talon. They cannon though is coming from the behind. Gets the double stun. Gets a big damage. Felios going to get a kill there. Azir gets the instant ulti on the TP'd Graves. Unfortunately for him, Baron has to happen, I would say, for T1. They're 3 dragons down. Arguably, you probably don't want to let this game nearly get to kill does the Zoe. You probably don't want to let this game continue too much longer if you can help it. Oh, that's bad communication by T1. Will Faker go down? His ult is going to run out. He flashes, he escapes, but that is now not going to be any Baron for T1. Really well played by DK to stop T1 getting that momentum. Oh, this game is interesting. It's kind of hype in a passive way, in the fact that literally it's a dragon game. That T1, let's be honest, they've been sloppy. They haven't got any of the dragons. 3 down. They have 0. As I mentioned, it's going to be so hard for them now to stop DK getting the soul. And even though I still think T1's comp is stronger in late game than DK, a lot of it is because of how squishy DK is. Again, they have good damage in late game, obviously, but the Mountain Dragon Soul literally could be the difference of, oh, we're actually kind of tanky now. We've got Mountain Dragon Soul. We don't have to die in every fight. That could be the difference of DK actually winning the match when I think T1's comp is better. Kind of crazy. Gold lead, though, however, is 1,000 gold lead to T1. Well, obviously, that would have been just the 2 extra kills and stuff like that. The funny thing is, with how much these champions farm and how little everybody dies, a lot of the time people are bounties. It's quite common to get the bounty of just farming. Because obviously there are 2 ways to get bounties on your champion nowadays. 1, get really fed, you'll get a bounty. But because obviously Riot didn't like that people were just power farming, never fighting, you also get a bounty for never dying and just farming a lot. So it's why you'll see some bounties in Worlds, even though, you know, they haven't done much, or, you know, that champion's got no kills, yet they've got a bounty. It's the farming bounty. And obviously a new feature that's going to be coming in the upcoming season is the objective bounties, which, I'll be honest, you're probably not going to see much in late game stages of Worlds anyway, because it usually is quite close. I will say one of the games in this series was a stomp. I think it might have been the last game. It was like one team, I can't remember which one, but it was like they had 18 kills and the other team had 1. So there has been a stomp in this series. But this game, Game 5, where everything matters, I'm not surprised it's a bit closer because it's a bit more passive. I'm not surprised. So, weirdly enough, I don't know if anybody's noticed. Oh, big engage, potentially. Flash. Oh, Faker misses out. Unfortunately, doesn't use his flash, actually. Does have the Zonya. Does get, oh, unfortunate timed by the Zoe. Is now getting slept. Why tank it? Just let him die. Use the Zillion. Talon is coming over to the left. And I was mentioning, if no one has seen it, Talon has not bought Gore Drinker, which to me is actually quite surprising. He has gone the more assassin route of Eclipse. He's gone Eclipse was obviously the Yumu's first item, so he has that is actually assassin Talon. It's not Bruiser Talon, surprisingly. And you know, this is on patch 11.19, the patch where Talon was strong as a bruiser. So weird. So the momentum does kind of feel in DK's favor right now. I don't know if they can do anything to like really solidify that. Could they do a cheeky Baron? Could they just force, like, pretend they're doing Baron and turn for fight? Because if they did fight right now and it wasn't great positioning from T1, I think DK would take the fight. They would probably win. It is a minute till the next dragon. And again, that is going to be, hopefully, the next big team fight. Because if it's not, DK are just going to get the Dragon Soul. And obviously, I don't think the game is going to end in the next 5 minutes, touch wood, but it could be which team gets the Elder Dragon could be the winner. And obviously, if I'm not mistaken, Elder Dragon is stronger depending how many dragons you have. So if DK get Elder Dragon, lovely sleep! They're getting Ziggs bombed. Okay, no Zoe follow-up because I guess she couldn't get there. But big damage on the Aphelios. Again, 30 seconds until the dragon is done. Can the Aphelios lifesteal his way back to full health before the fight? Unlikely, I would say, unless he gets the lifesteal gun. which I don't know. He's got the grav gun and the fire gun. Bad positioning by Xin, arguably, takes him to half health. And now you're looking at positioning. Look at the positioning. One team is at the dragon, one team isn't. The only play that I see T1 doing is when DK goes commits to the dragon, rush Baron. So if T1 goes the Baron route and just does it, honest, I don't know, like, if I'm DK, I would do like, screw the Baron. Let's just go do the dragon, confirm the dragon soul that cannot be taken away from us. That's what I would do. But here we go. A fight is going to break out. Kennen being off to the side. Xin is taking a bunch of damage, but being given XP, and they're having to back off it. So, if you're going to commit, like, the only way that T1 should have actually gone for that Baron is if DK committed to the dragon. They never did. They just kept following T1 continuously. Talon could get caught here. They're going back on the Baron. TP by Faker. Where's Faker TP to? We don't actually know. Do they know? They don't know. Oh, no, that's terrible. Talon one-shots the Xin. Will he go down? He does get grav-gunned, and now they have to kill this Talon. They have to. They have to kill him. Ziggs is getting a tower in mid lane. Again, Talon, incredibly slippery champion. He just needs to get hit like once, twice, there he's dead. Okay. But both junglers are dead. That was really unfortunate for Xin, but do you expect, obviously, a Talon behind you? But there it is, the 4th dragon. I have to say it, T1's dragon control has been non-existent this game. They just haven't bothered with dragons, which to me is mind-boggling. But I have always heard, like, reports that Korean players think that dragon is overblown. I've always heard that. Especially when they're playing EUS solo queue. It's like, we love dragons. And it just doesn't seem that Korean players care that much for it. Nice sleep by the Zoe into a Ziggs ult, which does get the kill. Luckily, Zilean pressed R. This is not looking good for T1. They still hold the gold lead, but look at those shields now that are going to be naturally on DK. A squishy comp in theory. And, you know, what even works better, and, you know, you got to think about it, the Talon hasn't done the Bruiser build. He's done the Assassin build. But now he's tanky with with the Dragon Soul, the Mountain Dragon Soul. He kind of is getting away with it more that he's gone the Assassin build. He doesn't need to be the Bruiser build because he's actually quite tanky. Lovely instant combo there on the Xin. Unfortunate for him that the Zilean was not in range, or, you know, reaction time would have had to be, like, insane to keep that guy alive if it was even in range. But, yeah, nice pick by Talon. But, again, trading... It's good he got the kill, but it's kind of like a nothing kill. Baron is now started for T1. They know they have to do something. They are losing this game in a weird way of having no objective pressure, which is really weird because earlier they had good objective pressure. Canyon is being bullied off to the side. They had to kill it. Just go for the dragon kill. Go, 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 go. They do get the dragon just... I saw 300 health. Xin goes to the back line. He's probably going to be the sacrificial guy this fight. Can T1 make it out? They do have Baron recalls. They really good Ziggs ultimate stops Faker from basing. They are potentially being aced here. Nice kill by SHOWMAKER. Faker doesn't die with Zilean ult. Goes down. Lovely patience there to keep Faker alive enough. Boom. That's an ace. Wow. So even though they got the Baron kill, T1 get aced. So that to me is the little bit of desperation now of T1 going, oh god, we've given them Dragon Soul. We have to do something. Let's get Baron. And arguably, I will say, maybe they didn't need to do anything. Maybe if you're T1, you trust your comp a bit, just wait it out. But now, barreling down the top lane, you've aced them, you've got Dragon Soul, these are going to fly down these towers and everything. So this could actually be game 5, which would mean T1, Faker's team, is being knocked out of Worlds. Xin goes in. 1v5, you might be thinking, what the hell? They have to do something. They have to try and delay anything they can. They're out of Worlds. So running into the enemy team, making them attack you rather than the tower is arguably the only way. There we go. Nice by Phyllis. It's the only way to stop the game. So that is actually arguably good that both Xin and Zilean went in, because otherwise the game was over. So that's a nice defense of a bad situation by T1. To be honest... it's a pretty basic game to see where T1 went wrong, like, so far. Like, as I said, I think they have a better comp. But they've been so relaxed off dragons, they've given so much strength to the enemy team from that point. And then every single time now that T1 is maybe feeling a bit desperate, let's go for the Baron or whatever it may be, they're now getting caught out because they're doing it at really weird times that DK is still around. Normally you're going to go do a Baron of, like, right, guys, we've got to pick, let's go do Baron. They're not doing that. They're like, right, let's just start Baron randomly with no one dead on the enemy team. Which, by the way, nobody, I think, on DK died. Rakan nearly did, but didn't. And obviously, this is the support staff, I think, to DK. So they're obviously going to be very happy with that. Which, again, I know this team by DWG. I don't know why they're known as DK in their abbreviation, but I swear last year they were going by DWG because it's Damwon Gaming. It's kind of weird. But as you can see, the goal difference this game has been very up and down. Obviously now, though, DK taking the firm lead. You know, they didn't get the Baron. Imagine if they stole that Baron, it would have even been worse. Look at that tower health, by the way. Yeah. So what I'd expect this game to turn into is probably nothing now for the next minute 50. If you look at the top left, we have Elder Dragons spawning. And historically, T1 has not been at any dragons, practically. So are they going to fight for this one? Well, if they don't, it's probably game over. They have to fight for it, and that is probably where the game is going to be determined. Who gets Dragon, Elder Dragon, arguably is probably going to win this game. So we'll see whoever obviously gets it. So 6 towers for DK, 3 towers for T1. Gold lead now at about 3,000 gold, just over for DK. And yeah, has the dragon and everything. So TP-wise, Faker does have TP, so he can go side lane. Zoe does have TP too, so she could go match it if she wanted to. But I would actually argue Zoe has to be careful now of getting killed to an Azir. Azir is insane in late game. And, you know, you might think, oh, Zoe's doing really well. She is. She's 206, hasn't died, decent farm. But look at the farms, man, of some of the T1 players. Apart from top lane, Faker's winning by like near 50. Aphelios is way ahead also. They're not weak, so do not underestimate this team. They are not weak at all. So potential fight happening, 2 from the flank. Obviously, 1 being an assassin. Canyon has actually played it very well. He's been in sneaky places that, you know, I guess T1 isn't expecting. And he's doing that as a good job. You can see on the minimap in the bottom right, he is waiting in the lurches of something to happen, and then he'll probably go for the rear and look probably for the faker or the AD carry. And to be honest, T1 should know he's around somewhere. Here we go. So it does get kind of found, but then just jumps away. I think he's got a GA, which is actually a very smart purchase by the Talon, because if he gets picked solo, oh, they found me, I'm behind them. He then goes into the revive animation. Oh, Aphelios, don't walk in there, or Zillion. There's the Talon. Zillion will just make it out there, and the Elder Dragon has spawned. Faker is walking away because he has to go deal with the big threat of the double super minion wave. Will DK just start this? They are. Faker's got a TP. Oh, no, he's got TP, so he can TP, but it could be too late. If DK just start DPSing it like right now, just poof, it's going to be dead very, very quickly. 5,000 health. There has to be a steal. Has to be a steal for the owner guy. Can he go for it? He lands the early W, 3,000 health. Ziggs ulti on Faker. Nearly kills Faker. Here we go. Red team kill it. Talon kill it. This is probably game over for T1. They're all getting wiped out. They're all going to go down. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is game. So, to be honest, of all games, this was probably one of the worst ones to watch. Because it wasn't like a stomp. It was like a slow burn loss for T1. And I'm going to be honest, they played it pretty poorly. They mispositioned a lot in the team fights. They let obviously DK have territory of every basically dragon. They went for a desperate Baron a couple times when nobody on DK was dead. And I will still say, I think they had the better comp. I think T1 had a better comp, but they just didn't. It's like they just didn't really play the game. It was very weird. So again, unfortunate for Faker, but SHOWMAKER will continue in the tournament. Obviously, 2 of the more popular mid laners. But well done, obviously, to DWG. They continue to the final, which I believe is next weekend. But obviously, we've got one more semi-final tomorrow. So again, I'll probably record one of that as well. But anyway, if you guys did enjoy my commentary, do throw a like on it, throw a comment. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Plus, subscribe if you haven't, by the way. YouTube does tell me about 40 or so % of my views are people that have not subscribed. So if you haven't, please do. But anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime.